Hello everybody and welcome back to the January 20th, 2025 edition of Monday Night Raw here. This is an interesting episode. We're getting right into it. Obviously, if you remember the last episode, John Cena was being beat down by the new members of Imperium, Alexander Wolf and Oscar Wittkamp. So we open the show with a beaten up John Cena coming out. He tells the crowd that he's alright. He's never been one to back down from a challenge. He wants Gunther to come out and name his challenge so that John Cena can get a title match at Saturday night's main event. Gunther comes out flanked by Ludwig Kaiser and his two new members. Obviously an old member and a new member, because he used to be in Imperium, but Gunther tells John Cena that if he wants that title opportunity so bad, he'll have to win a gauntlet match against all three Imperium members tonight. And John Cena accepts. So that segment gets an 80. I'm fine with that. Kaiser and Wolf underperform. Obviously, Oscar Wittkamp is not popular at all in the States, so we're going to have to... But he is German, that's why I wanted him in here. Wolf and Wittkamp are both German. Same with Kaiser and then the Austrian Gunther. Yeah, so a lot of bonuses. Very good. Next, we head backstage to the Judgment Day Clubhouse. Adam Pearce walks in and tells everybody that due to travel issues, Finn Balor is unable to make the show tonight. Obviously, he was supposed to have a match tonight against one of the War Raiders, Eric. So Pearce says that he doesn't care who, but one of the Judgment Day members has to take his spot against Eric tonight. Take Finn Balor's spot. JD McDonough says that he's his tag team partner, so he'll take his place in the match as long as the rest of Judgment Day is able to be ringside at his match. Pearce doesn't care. He says sure. Segment gets a 60. Liv Morgan was fantastic. Obviously, no Finn Balor. One of the pre-show incidents, he was stranded at the airport. So nothing that was his fault. Nothing I can control. We just have no Finn Balor for the show tonight. Could have been worse, but we deal with it as it comes. We have the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Championship match. And Sonya Deville beats Lyra Valkyria in 13 minutes by submission after a distraction from Shayna Baszler. So Sonya Deville wins the Women's Intercontinental title. And that gets a 62. I gave a creative finish to the match, and it was a success. 55 for Lyra, 49 for Sonya Deville. And we have a new Women's Intercontinental Champion. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of people thought I would just give it to Lyra, just like in real life, but nope, I'm making the inaugural one, Sonya Deville. She has not been cut from the WWE in this save. We're actually making her a champion. We're giving her a push. And yeah, successful creative finish. Very happy with that. The crowd loved it. Next, we're going backstage as Jey Uso storms into Pearce's office, demanding a match against Drew McIntyre tonight. Obviously, last week, Drew McIntyre vowed to destroy the Bloodline, and Jey did attack him, and they two brawled. Pearce says he understands and he'll consider making that match in a few weeks, but not tonight. He wants tempers to cool down before things really get out of hand. And that gets a 64. Kind of foreshadowing Jey Uso and Drew McIntyre, but Pearce says not tonight. So obviously last week Robert Roode attacked the New Day, so we got a match between Robert Roode and Xavier Woods. A wild brawl that had a decent reaction from the crowd. Robert Roode wins in 12 minutes by pinfall with a fast roll-up. That gets a 50. I'm actually very happy with that. A 50 is something I can take. They were going all out. Inconsistent in stamina, which isn't ideal, but we'll take it. Roode gets his first win back in the WWE. We head back to the announce desk where Pat McAfee and Michael Cole announced that another VHS tape was given to them before the show tonight, and they're going to play it for the audience now. It starts playing, and we see Miz still tied up in a chair. Uncle Howdy speaks from behind him, telling him to tell the world why he turned on R-Truth. Miz admits that it's because he was tired of being dragged down by a loser. Karrion Kross showed him that he needed to cut off that leech, and he did just that. Howdy replies to Miz, saying that you understand why you must suffer. This isn't revenge, it's just penance. And they let's go out, and we hear a distorted Uncle Howdy laugh as the tape ends. That segment gets a 60. The segment, we actually gained heat on the storyline, and the angle got the crowd hotter, which I'm very happy with. The crowd is a big fan of either Miz or Howdy, and I'll take it. Head back to the ring where Drew McIntyre cuts a promo laying out a challenge for Sami Zayn. He says that he's made a vow to destroy every limb of the bloodline, and Sami Zayn is up first. Drew says that when he beats him, he doesn't want any more of this honorary oos trash. He wants it official. He wants Sami Zayn gone from the fight. He wants him excommunicated from the bloodline. So next week, Drew wants to face Sami Zayn, and when he wins, Sami is out. He doesn't get to fight for the bloodline anymore. He doesn't get to act like he's part of this story. This is my war now. Gets a 75, Drew says, giving a stipulation for their match next week if Sami accepts. That if Drew wins, Sami is gone from the bloodline. And he cannot interfere in any bloodline matches. Gets a 75. Drew McIntyre does great. So, we go backstage to Sami Zayn walking into Pierce's office. He accepts the match and the stipulation that Drew wants. Pierce wants to make it very clear for Sami to make sure he knows that if he loses, he'll be barred from any future involvement in anything bloodline related. Sami says he understands and he's still accepting. So Adam Pearce makes it official. That gets a 76. Off script, did well, great. Storyline gains heat, 76. And JD McDonough has his match against Eric that he's stepping in for Finn Balor. JD McDonough beats Eric in 11 minutes following interference from Dominic Mysterio. The match was designed. I made it a storytelling match because he's stepping in for Finn Balor. We also had Carlito distract Eric. And 59 for JD, very good. 46 for Eric, 61 for the segment. Definitely will take that. And we go backstage again where Chad Gable tells Ivy Nile that he knows they've all been humiliated recently, but he talked to Liv Morgan and he was able to get Ivy into a #1 contenders match for the Women's World title tonight. So that match will be tonight, and Ivy Nile will be a part of it. Segment gets a 47, that's fine. And we head back out to the ring where Adam Pearce comes out and announces that while she recovers from injury, Kiana James will be the new assistant general manager. So I'm going to give this a shot and make her assistant GM. This gets a 47. Kiana has a very good gimmick, and maybe this will help her get pop if we keep putting her in segments with good stars. We'll see what happens. Backstage, we go to Alpha Academy, who find Penta backstage and ask if he'd be willing to help train them. Penta says he's still getting settled in the WWE, but he'll think about it. So the Alpha Academy asking Penta to, join them and help train them. Gets a 51. Obviously, Akira Tozawa does something funny there. And Karrion Kross is upset about the VHS tape, so he requests a match against someone. So we just put him in a match against Riley Osborne from NXT, where Kross wins. It gets a 43. We just needed another match in here, and we're giving Karrion Kross a win because he does not have great momentum right now. So the crowd's not a big fan of this. Still gets a 43, which I'll take. Inconsistent. That's fine. We just needed another match there. So Pierce and Kiana James, their first order of business is to go to separate offices to talk with both Seth Rollins and CM Punk individually. So Pierce meets with Seth Rollins and Kiana meets with Punk. It's kind of a split screen. They're both saying the same thing, talking to both of them. They both bring up how the GMs have reviewed the tapes from last week's match, and that the match last week endangered both staff and fans and talent. I guess all of them, not both. They explain that neither man can compete tonight, just out of precaution, letting things cool down. So the storyline gains heat. Kiana James doesn't do great off script, which is something we can work on. Still gets a 64. I'm fine with that. We're going to see if her pop improves after, while she recovers from injury. So here's the number one contenders match, which gets a 76. Awesome. The crowd loved this. Rhea Ripley defeats Io and Ivy Nile when Rhea pins Ivy Nile using the ropes for leverage. The match is designed so that they could steal the show. We also had Chad Gable distract Io to help Ivy Nile out, but it doesn't work. Rhea Ripley with a 77, 68 for Io, and a 45 for Ivy Nile. 76 for the segment. Very, very happy with that. So yeah, it's just inconsistencies in physical condition. That's fine. Logan Paul finds the LWO backstage as he wants to brag about his win over Joaquin Wilde last week and ask which masked loser he can add to his highlight tape next. Ray confronts him, saying that he's an embarrassment to the industry and that next week Dragon Lee will humble him. So, just setting up a match for next week between Dragon Lee and Logan Paul. Segment gets a 58. Everyone does really well going off script. I'm very happy with that. And, yeah. So, the inaugural Women's World Tag Champs tournament also concludes today, as we have our inaugural winners being Pure Fusion Collective. They defeat Dakota and Kairi Sane in 12 minutes, with Shayna submitting Dakota Kai after a distraction from Sonya Deville. So PFC helping themselves win all the titles tonight. And PFC now all have gold, and a big statement tonight from them. Segment match gets a 63 too, which is I'm very happy with. Kairi Sane is in poor form, so I didn't want them holding the belts in poor form. And they have great chemistry, so very, very happy with this at 63. I was also going to do a segment where backstage they tell each other they're going to help each other out, but I didn't want to spoil anything. So I just did the matches. We go backstage to Kathy Kelly giving an interview to Sheamus where he's talking about how much it would mean to him to finally win his own WWE Intercontinental Championship. Suddenly, he's interrupted by a chair thrown into his back, and he turns around just to get speared again by Braun Breaker, just like last week. As Sheamus is on the ground, writhing in pain, Braun Breaker tells Kathy Kelly that Sheamus can keep dreaming because there's a 0% chance of beating the dog at Saturday night's main event. Segment gets a 63. Storyline gains heat. Very happy with that. So obviously we do have that PLE this week. So we're setting up for that. 63, we'll take it. So now we head to the Gauntlet match as we're starting out with Oscar Vidkamp. And this gets a 63 as John Cena wins in 4 minutes with an AA. 75 for John, 34 for Oscar. Nobody really knows who Oscar is, so that is hurting his ratings a lot. But still gets a 63, definitely going to take that. And next up, he's got Alexander Wolf. And John Cena also beats him, this time in 5 minutes, and that also gets a 63. 48 for Wolf, so he does a lot better. Another 34. And Ludwig Kaiser is next. John Cena beats him in 6 minutes by submission. So he's very gassed at this point. He's 68 for him, a 60 for Ludwig. And the segment gets a 73 for that match. Very happy with that. And yeah, the crowd is still very hot as John Cena has won his Gauntlet match and will be facing Gunther at Saturday night's main event. And Gunther attacks Cena to end the show and stand tall. And that segment gets a 75. So we're going to finish there with the show being a 74. So we lose a little popularity some places, increase some places. I'm overall happy with this show. A lot of John Cena, but I think it works out. Let's see. So yeah, not ideal there, but great there. And yeah, so that's the show. Leave some feedback and leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe, and I'll see you guys for NXT.